Hanging tree overlooks the garbage in the street. The dogs rush in, hungry for something to eat. All looking for ourselves, but who's to say that I've been someone else just for today? Won't you tell me a story? Don't care if it's true, I'll believe when I hear it from you. One person's tragedy is another saving grace. I feel it wash away, gone without a trace. Flow with me through the years, guilty innocence, hopes and fears. Flow with me through the years. Must be love, for it shall not be. Pull the anchor, the lines set me free. Tasted it once, oh so sweet. It failed to crush me, just like concrete. It's gotten cold now, can you feel the chill? Maybe on another day, I might try it still. Shadows have grown smaller, fire's gone from your smile. Give me a chance, I might reconcile. Flow me through the years, guilty innocence, hopes and fears. Flow me through the years. Guess we practice self-defense. What's been gained, lost, at whose expense? Craving to touch you always, just to hear your voice. Thoughts fit through my mind, leave me no choice. Flow with me through the years, guilty innocence, hopes and fears. Flow with me through the years. Flow with me
I wandered through the woods, I wandered off the path, had to clear the way through the hardships of the past. Right before I hit the ground, I could see for miles around. Autumn filtered through the trees, orange, yellow, falling leaves. I was only just a boy, didn't know if I could swim, didn't know if I could fly, if I had the strength within. Heart and soul kept my chin just above the waterline, kept me drifting off in space, kept me drifting off in time. Every moment has its place, temporarily in space. I was once a bona fide drifter, drifting off in time. When I drifted off the grid, I could see my shadow dance. He was always playing tricks anytime he had the chance. I was only just a boy, didn't know if I could swim, didn't know if I could fly, if I had the strength within. Heart and soul kept my chin just above the waterline, kept me drifting off in space, kept me drifting off in time. From the bear to the ladder on the wall. When the bear was just a cub, the gray wolf was not so small. He came lunging at my feet, growling, baring canine teeth. I could barely climb the air, never thought I'd see him there. I was only just a boy, didn't know if I could swim, didn't know if I could fly, if I had the strength within. Heart and soul kept my chin just above the waterline, kept me drifting off in space, kept me drifting off in time. Don't say there's no way out. Hold your head above the waves. Don't say there's no way out. Hold your head above the waves. I was only just a boy, didn't know if I could swim, didn't know if I could fly, if I had the strength within. Heart and soul kept my chin just above the waterline, kept me drifting off in space, kept me drifting off in time. Every moment has its place, temporarily in space. I was once a bona fide drifter, drifting off in time. When I drifted off the grid, I could see my shadow dance. He was always playing tricks anytime he had the chance.
I miss your blue skies, I miss your clear blue skies and drinking water streams. I miss your mountains, I miss your sunrise and your watercolor scenes. Ooh, Alaska, I'm coming home. Ooh, Alaska, I'm coming home. But you're not right for everyone, but you are my only home. Alaska, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I miss your firesides, I miss your cabins and your people unafraid. I miss your snowfall, I miss your skylight and your total night and day. Ooh, Alaska, I'm coming home. Ooh, Alaska, I'm coming home. Well, someone said you can have her and I'll be glad to take her. precious wildlife and your trees so strong and fair. You are my lifestyle, you queen of beauty with your crown of clean fresh air. Ooh, Alaska, I'm coming home. Ooh, Alaska, I'm coming home. Well, you're not right for everyone, but you are my only home.
Everybody loves the sluice race. I don't know whether it's participants or spectators who enjoy it the most. And this was one of the few events this year that actually saw some sunshine. And obviously in drought-torn southeast, people even had to paddle down the sluice race this year. One innovative character even put wheels on the bottom of his float. This man is taking a ride on a non-SeaWorld orca here and is vowing to return next year when perhaps we'll have a little bit more water. We haven't heard, however, from the poor character providing the ballast at the bottom of the whale's tail.
Welcome again to Rain Country and our continuing journey through Southeast. I'm Scott Foster. We begin this week in the governor's residence, located in Juneau. This picture, which is on the second floor of the governor's home, depicts the transfer of Alaska from Russia to the United States. 39 years after that transfer, the capital was moved from Sitka here to Juneau, and the territorial government realized they needed office space and a residence for the governor. To provide that office space and living quarters for the governor, these two houses located on Main Street between 5th and 6th were rented by the territorial government. The house on the left was used as offices, and the governor's residence was just up the hill. Only two governors lived in the house, Wilfred Hoggart and Walter Clark. It was Governor Clark who urged the President and Congress to build permanent and suitable buildings for the residence of the governor and for government offices in Juneau. Construction of a new home for the governor was authorized in the Public Building Act of 1910, and $40,000 was appropriated to build and furnish the home. An invitation for proposals was sent to prospective bidders in 1911, and during the following year, William Collier, an engineer with the Treasury Department, supervised the building of the home. On New Year's Day, 1913, residents of Juneau, Douglas, and Treadwell visited the governor in his newly completed home. When Clark was asked why the residence should be called the governor's house instead of the executive mansion, he explained, "There is every consideration of good taste in favor of the simple term governor's house, and moreover, this is the term of common parlance. Soon after Mr. Roosevelt was elevated to the presidency, he must have had this consideration in mind, for he immediately changed the name of the president's residence from executive mansion to the White House." Clark continued by saying that the governor's house was a simpler term, more dignified, and in better taste. Through the years, this dignified colonial-style home has gone through several remodelings. The first occurred in 1936, when the entire exterior was completed by plastering over the wood siding and painting the building white. The veranda on the south side was extended, and work was done on the driveway on the east side. The second renovation was completed in 1968 by Arthur Morgan Designers of Seattle. The Seattle Post-Intelligencer said the project had to please 226,167 people. but Governor and Mrs. Walter Hickel were the ones who approved many decisions. The third floor was remodeled, part of the basement was converted into a recreation room, and the main floors were refurnished. The last renovation of the governor's house was undertaken in 1983 at a cost of $2.5 million. New heating, electrical, plumbing, and security systems were installed, and the interior design of the main and second floors were restored to the 1912 period.
The main floor of the house, the public part of the house, which is the general reception area and the ballroom, or on some of the older sheets it's called the music room, where the grand piano is and where the Christmas tree presently. Off of that is the library, and that, with the 1983 renovation, is probably the most structurally changed room of all of them that they renovated, because it has the wood cabinets, all the bookcases, and the wood mantle, which is a copy exactly of what was drawn on the 1912 blueprint. When I first came to work for the Hammonds, the things that had been given Bella on the history of the mansion led her to believe that the room had never really been finished to look like a library, that it looked just like what it looked when they moved in, bare walls and the plaster wall. But the more I talk to some of the old-timers, they say no, that's not true, that originally it was finished as a library. So then in 1983, that was, when we looked at those original blueprints, and Governor Sheffield wanted that. So it's kind of nice to see it back like what it was meant to be. Off of that then is the formal dining room, which my staff has kind of nicknamed the Washington room, because almost all the furniture, the rug comes out of the Capitol in Olympia, Washington. So we've kind of nicknamed that one our Washington room. Depending on what's going on in the kitchen, we'll take people through so that they can see the commercial kitchen and the area where our chef is. There's a lot of, well, men and women both like to see the kitchen, see where the food's prepared. That really goes on whether Nancy has a really busy schedule, whether we let people get into the kitchen. We had for quite a number of years, last couple of years I guess I should say, taken people up on second floor. And when the Hammonds were first here, we even took people up on third floor. But our housekeeper complained there just was more than what we taken groups through, more than our staff could keep up with on cleaning. So we eliminated the third floor tours and had maybe just first and second. This really isn't as public as the first floor. And although there is a living room on second floor, the governor's study, his apartment, I guess you could call it, and a guest room in my office. Again, we don't show this always on a tour now because a lot of it depends on the governor's schedule. And if he's here, if he's been entertaining, we don't bring people up on second floor as much as we used to. And then the recreation room, I guess you would have called it, sort of I think Hickel's had exercise equipment down in there. And when the Hammonds were here, they had a ping pong table and a pool table. That was redone and new paneling and wallpaper put in there, and it now houses a hot tub. Yeah. People asked it after the renovation, after the 1983 renovation, and the figure came out $2.5 million. And I thought, I wonder if we're going to have very much negative feeling when we reopen again for tours. But I would say out of all the people that we've had, I could count them on less than 2 hands of people that felt that it was money ill spent. Most people are very proud that we've done it, that it's done, that the house belongs to the state of Alaska. Alaskans are very much, I notice when they come through on tour, they're very much the idea that this is their house. It's not Bill Sheffield's house, or it wasn't Jay Hammond's house. It's their house. It's Alaska's house.
Was it something that you never had? Was it something that you never had? Say another way of feeling bad. Find the tunnel underneath the bar. Find the tunnel underneath the bar. Try to catch your shadow in the dark. If I could take a picture, it would be. If I could take a picture, it would be when they showed you how you like to be. And I know that you would always be. And I know that you would always be when to find the pathway back to me. Carry on, you remember this. One little promise.
Production. I wrote to this to prove that I can spit in any style. I turn an inch into a mile, a pinch into a pile. Maybe by the end of this beat, a grin into a smile. Word to my cousin Bird, his name is Kyle. I admit it's been a while, so sit back, relax, and let me turn the dial to them good old days before we all walked the aisle. Killer instincts with the flow of the Nile, beats kicking like guile, had them dancing like Belial. Spitting Spanish slang, get real wild, leaving crowds all riled. After parties like wow, cypher smoking, drinking like how. Waking up on the bow on a harbor of another town. Memories raise and poke their eyebrows. These scripters laying how you like me now? Remember when we had no cell phones and it was time to go home? Soon as the street lights came on. Remember? Do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember when we had to press it on CD, beats on cassette, 'cause it's the only way that we do you remember? Do you remember? My grandma on the radio blowing up the CD.
Remember when we used to sling those CDs late at night? Uncle Joe's Lakers won a 3-peat. Right around that time is when I found the belief that believing in myself gonna get me to where I believe that everything and everyone around us, they are here for reasons. Reasons that will ground us, that will make us better. Now you better understand us higher levels. Planets of the grandest.
Try, but it hurts too. If pain is a virtue, keep building your name, but that fame will desert you. Go back to the days when they came with a curfew. Can't remember them all, still remember the first few times that we opened up our minds to the notion that no one can hold us back, knowing it's only rap. Yeah, rhythm and poetry significantly holding me accountable for all of it. Can't count the accomplishments.
Hell yeah, I'm on that gang shit. We slang fish, it ain't shit. I was born to bang with Kang Tip, out in the rain wet, pulling the same net, trying to top up the day with a late set. I remember every fish I catch, remember dripping sweat, out in the July sun, out on a back deck. Remember fat check, next. Remember neck, but I can only look back, I can't access.
Get through the day without crime. Doing good so far, you can't say that I'm not trying. Going through the motions, feeling roller coasting. I fantasize about a moment that was not there, but wishing life away ain't gonna get me anywhere. I just gotta keep going, at least I'm not alone. I've been dreaming about your smile. I've seen it for a while. Feelings I can't reconcile. Comforting my inner child. Feelings I can't reconcile. Comforting my inner child.
Probably one of the most popular and exciting events of this year's festivities was the sandcastle building contest. The stakes were pretty high this year. Alaska Airlines gave away 10 free tickets to San Diego to compete in the National Sand Building Contest. 30 teams signed up, and each team could have 10 members. Some had more. It was a lot of fun, even though it was a bit chilly during the day. We even had competitors come down from Anchorage. This is our team from Arts R Us. Hypothermia struck quite a few of us after the adrenaline had worn down. We had 3 hours in which to design and build our structures. Entries included more traditional sand castles, Lascana, dragons, and teams ranged from elementary school up to senior citizens. We even used a model here from a Winslow Homer. As it turned out, everyone was a winner.
This is 7th Street in Juneau. It's located on a high ridge that affords a commanding view of both downtown and the channel. Perhaps that's why in earlier days it was also called Nob Hill, Observation Heights, and Gastineau Heights. Even before then, it was called Chicken Ridge. apparently because there are a lot of ptarmigan in this area. Hello, I'm Scott Foster, and welcome to Rain Country. Although the times have changed since those earlier names were affixed to this area, some of the houses still remain, and this is one of the most well-known of them all. The Wickersham House, which is being maintained and restored by the State Division of Parks and Outdoor Recreation and by a small, dedicated group of volunteers, was originally built for Frank Hammond, but it's filled with memories of the man for whom the house was named, Judge James Wickersham. Before it was purchased by the judge, the house was occupied by men whose impact on the Juneau area was as great as Judge Wickersham's was on the state. Prominent among these men was Bart Thane.
Bart Thane was what I would call one of the biggest titans or mining men that had ever come into Juneau. He came to Alaska during the gold rush. He was involved in a lot of different mining properties, but of particular importance would be his development of the Alaska gas mill mine down at Sheep Creek. He revolutionized the milling of the ores. He drove the longest tunnel at the fastest rate ever driven in the world, which was at Sheep Creek Adit. He built the Salmon Creek hydroelectric project, the Annex Creek hydroelectric project. He worked out a system of heating the town of Perseverance on its own garbage. He was a very disarming individual. He could make friends with anybody. And I think that was a great deal to the key to the successes that he achieved, and that he worked his miners to the limit, not because he cracked a whip, but because he got them to believe in him. Bart Thane purchased the Wickersham House through his company in, it was 1912. It had already been built for a manager of the Sheep Creek mines, which was a small little mining operation, a man by the name of Frank Hammond, but it was basically a shell. It was not much of a house as compared to what it is today. His principal objective in doing that was, at that time, he was promoting the Alaska Gastineau Mining Company to Daniel Jackling, who was the copper king, who controlled pretty much the world's output of copper. And he wanted to fix up this big house to put on a big shindig for Jackling when he came to town. He bought the house from John Maloney. After this big party that they had for Jackling, and Jackling left, Thane had it remodeled for his own house, and he lived in it for a number of years.
Bart Thane was not stingy with his success. He gave regularly to churches, helped equip local hospitals, and established a school at the mine. This earned him the respect of most in the growing community.
Judge Wickersham was no friend to the local hard rock mining industry, to Juneau. And Bart Thane, I guess, I can't put it any more diplomatically, despised Judge Wickersham. And it's somewhat ironic today that the house that Bart Thane lived in is known as the House Wickersham.
Wickersham was a real fighter. He probably became significant during his career as a judge when he made some decisions that were against some very influential political people concerning mining claims. And for the rest of his career, he was up against the Alaska Syndicate. He ran for delegate to Congress, and he won in 1908 as delegate. In the next 7 terms, he saw the passage of several acts that benefit Alaska. After his retirement from delegate to Congress at age 72, he retired to law practice here in Juneau. He purchased his house in 1928, and then he lived in this house until his death in 1939 with his wife, Grace Wickersham. I really think he was a bit of a spitfire. He really was dedicated to Alaska and to preserving the history of Alaska and seeing the benefits or foreseeing, the natural resource benefits of Alaska and hoping to make some decisions that would benefit Alaska over centuries. Some people have felt it should be called the Hammond-Wickersham House. Again, it's because of the family history with this house. After the judge's death, his wife continued to live here till 63, and then his niece lived here until 1983.
The state purchased the house and the judge's collection. Now the judge was also a historian and a scholar. He had all through his career an interest in Native history, and he often walked into Native villages and, you know, just recorded or documented their words, their traditions, their culture. One of the things that the judge collected were books on Alaska, or books that contained information on Alaska. And by 1924, he had over 10,300 books with something in it on Alaska, and they started from 1724 and went all the way to 1924. The judge took all of those books and compiled their titles in the Bibliography of Alaskan Literature, which was a real definitive collection of books at that time, and still really is today. Many of those books are very priceless. This house is on the National Register of Historic Places, and essentially we're rather lucky in that the original integrity of many of the rooms is intact. We have to be real careful when we're renovating in that we're actually rehabilitating and using the same materials that we used when the house was built. It's a slow process because right now there isn't an operating budget attached with the house, so we use a lot of volunteers to help us out. And unique to this house, for a house that era, is the size of the rooms. This has large rooms, and Victorian houses often don't have rooms this size. It has also some neat furnishings in it, and I think those are one of the neat features, similar to the piano that's behind me here. The piano came from Boston and came around the Horn of South America in the mid-1800s, and is one of two pianos that was brought to Sitka during the Russian-American occupancy there. In a way, this house is a museum, and we would follow guidelines similar to a museum. The difference lies in that we are allowing some special use of this facility that would not be allowed in a museum. We'd like to see this a little more like living history, where someone can come in here and feel that it's a part of their community, a part of their heritage, and experience it by the use.
Eight stars of gold on a field of blue, Alaska's flag, may it mean to you the blue of the sea, the evening sky, the mountain lakes, and the flowers nearby, the gold of the early sourdough dreams, the precious gold of the hills and streams, the brilliant stars in the northern sky, the Bear, the Dipper, and shining high, the great North Star with its steady light, o'er land and sea, a beacon bright, Alaska's flag to Alaskans dear, of our last frontier. Alaska's flag.